I built this n8n automation system for small real estate investors, property managers, and market analysts who needs their hands-off tracking of local real estate trends and all. So the workflow automatically captures and archives real-time property sales and rental market data too for the targeted zip codes that we simply give right here. So it turns the raw data into a clear and actionable market intelligence and deliver a clean human readable, you know, analysis directly to your own Slack every single month. So yeah, let me just show you the demo first, and after that we can simply move forward with how the data will flow from node to node from the beginning to the ending. Let us test the system live. So let me just execute the workflow right here. Okay, just within a second or two, we simply got our market update for the targeted zip code, and it simply, came with the comparison of the previous months too. So yeah, it is kind of a cool thing, and obviously we can simply extend the whole thing for sure too. So okay, now let me just explain you how the data will flow from node to node. So firstly, the workflow will get triggered every single month on the fifth day of the month. And just for the test cases, I simply gave the fifth day. You can simply set any of your favorite day to receive the analysis. And we will be giving the zip code right here. And after that, after we simply gave the zip code, we will be checking our database to check whether the current month data was already in our database or not. For that, we will be simply comparing the zip code and the last updated date. So if the last updated date was on the current month, then it was directly mean the current month's market data of housing sales and rentals was already in our own, database. So, I mean, I will explain you how the data, I mean, how those data will be saved in our database too. So nothing to worry. And after that, here there are two tables. One was for market rentals and another for market sales. So both were targeted and pinned by the zip code. So nothing serious. So because of that, we will be simply merging right here. And after that, we will be simply aggregating the whole data into one. But the only reason I simply use the aggregate option right here, let's say, whenever we perform this particular operation, right here, we already have the current month's data in our database. Then, after merging, we will be only receiving one single, combined data. But if in case, if there is no data, it will simply return the technically output the empty data from these two nodes. So even after we using the merge node for on that operation, we will be receiving two items. So it was more like this workflow was specifically designed to be simply to be very simple. Okay, so instead of dealing with two empty records, we simply do is aggregate them to make it one single item so that there won't be a duplicate notifications. If we simply blindly pass those two items to this particular if node and simply move forward right here, we may receive two duplicate notifications and we may receive two extra API calls that we simply have right here, right? So to avoid that worst situation to ever happen, we simply use the aggregate node right here. So nothing serious. Okay. And after that, we will be simply checking whether the particular data is not empty or not, data object is not empty or not. As I told you now, if there is no API data already, then it will automatically returns two items, two empty items, and even after aggregating, there won't be a data in the data. I mean, in the first area of the data. Okay, so for that reason, we will be checking this particular, we will be using this particular logic to check whether the data object is empty or not. If the data is not empty, then we will directly compare it with the code node, and it will simply do the analysis right here, and it will also be generating this, readable summary so that we can simply drag and drop the particular thing to our Slack. So and even though sometimes we don't even get the right data, I mean full data, sufficient data. So there is this variable in the output named has sufficient data, which was completely returns Boolean values. So we will be check against that particular value to Boolean true. Whenever we only have the sufficient data, it will return true. Okay, so then only we will be simply sending the notifications to the client. or if by chance if the workflow didn't have the enough data and the code node already identified it, it will simply turn this particular has sufficient data variable as false, and then the user will simply get this error message to deliver to the Slack channel. So yeah, and just in case if the API, I mean, if the current month location, I mean, current month housing rental and sales data was not in our database, then we will perform a API, I mean, call to the RentCast, okay, via HTTP node right here, and we will be passing the zip code to it right here too. And after that, we will be saving the whole, fresh data into our own database right here with these two, HTTP nodes, because I have been using upsetting of Supabase, but technically in my current n8n version, upsetting operation was not supported in the, n8n. So even after that, we will be simply matching those two items with the zip code. And just because for the same reason, you know, here I simply use the aggregate node, and even for the same reason, I simply use the aggregate node right here. And after that, the logic is simple. I mean, it will simply I mean, checks the previous, historical data from the 3 months, and it will simply create a summary right here like this. So the logic is exact same even down here too. So yeah, this is how the data will flow from node to node, and that's it for today.